Hello guys, it's Igor here. Today I'm going to tell you how to immigrate to Canada as an international student. At the beginning, I'm going to tell you a little bit of introduction of the challenges that I had when I was trying to immigrate. Then I'm going to give you 3 points. These are going to be, I'll name them A, B, C. And those points are very important. They're very essential for you to know. They are going to help you immigrate to Canada. A, why as a student? B, which immigration stream to choose? And C, action plan of how to achieve things. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. 2012, I was in Ukraine and I wanted to move to Canada. I started watching all sorts of videos and I fell in love with the country and I liked it. And it was beautiful. I read so many good things about it, but I couldn't find a way how to stay in Canada. I went to a lawyer in Ukraine and the lawyer, she didn't even let me speak. She said, "You are too young. I can only help you go to Canada as a student. But I'm not going to charge you anything. Because you're too young, your English is probably not good enough. You probably do not have enough of experience. And you're not married." Well, at that time the immigration system was slightly different. It was 2012. I came to my parents. I was definite that I want to go to Canada. Came to my parents and my parents said, "Well, we don't have enough money." I did my English test for IELTS. My score was too low. I actually did TOEFL and I think I scored 65 at that time. It was really low. It was not enough for me to get enrolled into a college. So I went to my friends. My friends said, "You know, your idea sucks," and some listened to me. But what I figured out that those people who were listening to me, they were actually not believing me. They were thinking it's just, talk. Cheap talk, no real plan. Those guys were really surprised once I came to them and I said, "Guys, I got the tickets." You should have seen some of those guys' faces. But some people were really true friends and they really supported me. I went to my family and I said, "Mom, I want to go to Canada. Dad, I want to go to Canada." They said, "We don't have enough money. It's really expensive." So let's begin. A, why you should consider coming to Canada as a student. And A, it's going to be 3 points. First of all, you get Canadian education. It's very important that you get Canadian education in Canada after you graduate. Because guess what? I have a master's degree in economics back in Ukraine, but it seems to me that a lot of people here are ignoring it because it has not been in Canada. Once you graduate in Canada, you need a job. And to immigrate, you need to have a skilled profession. You have to be in a B category at least, in the federal stream. So you need education to get a proper job. Number 2, why Canadian education? Well, first of all, I'm sorry to tell you guys that our education from our countries, for example mine from Ukraine, it's not valuable in Canada. I'm telling Canadians, I'm saying, "Guys, I have master's degree in economics and I studied really hard for it, and I tell you, I know no less than people who studied here. But for some reason there is a stereotype and people here think, unless they know you, they think that it's nothing." I am sorry to tell you this, guys, but that's how HR people here think. And the HR people are the ones who are hiring. If you get to the manager and you talk to him and he knows that you're the smart person, he will hire you. But HR is the devil here. Another thing, very important. Upon graduation, if you're studying on 1-year program, you're going to get 1-year work permit. You may apply and get it. Most people do get it. 2, if you study for 2 years, you get a 3-year work permit. Up to 3 years, but most people get 3 years work permit. I know a lot of people who studied 1 year, they didn't have enough money. And then, after studying 1 year, they realized how tough it is to find jobs here. So, they went to university or college, they took a 2nd year. Then they combine and they apply these two programs and get their 3 years work permit. Number 3 point is English. English is everything. Doesn't matter how much you know, how good you are. If you don't know English, you cannot work in Canada. Doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, but if you cannot use it and other people cannot understand you, that's one point. But more importantly, for immigration you have to pass a test. While you're studying here, the English test, while you're studying here, you're going to improve your English drastically. B. Choose immigration stream. In Canada, there are two main streams that Canadian government has. One is provincial, because there is a federal government and there is a provincial government. So there is a federal stream and provincial stream for immigration. To stay in Canada, you have to have plan A and plan B and C and D. You have to have many plans to stay here. If you're very determined, you have to plan ahead. Now, first of all, look at the provincial programs. Look at all the provinces and see their immigration provincial nominee programs. What are their requirements to stay there? How can you stay in Canada through those requirements? Second point is look at the federal stream program. Now, probably you have already done some research. Create a profile on Express Entry. If you have all the documents, if you don't get them, you'll need them anyways for an Express Entry, and you might get invitation to apply for permanent residence. Or you have to just find a calculator online, find a calculator and do some calculations on your points. How much years of experience do you have? What's your level of English? Where do you stand? Find out. It's the most important thing before you do anything. Find out where you are standing right now. How much points do you need for immigration? Where, if you are eligible and everything, where do you have to go? Maybe you don't have enough years of experience. Maybe your English is not good enough. Or maybe you want to stay in your country and get more years of experience. Or if you are willing to come here as a student and you have some experience from back home, wonderful. That's wonderful. So what you do is this. You see where you are. And then you go to the same calculator that you find online and just check how much points are you going to get if you have 1 year or 2 years of Canadian education. How much points you'll get if your English is going to be improved. How much points are you going to get if you have 1 year or 2 years of Canadian work experience as a skilled worker. This is very important. This is something that a lot of people with international students, we are crazy. We just come here, we just go with the flow. And guess what? Some of the people are getting washed away with the flow. But I'm telling you right now that the most people I know, most students that came to Canada, they found a way to stay. I know more people that stayed in Canada than those people who went home. And because those people were determined. I didn't see any person who was not able to stay, who was really determined in staying in Canada. Only those people who had a chance, who had a back thought in their mind and thinking that, okay, I might have better opportunities back home, they went home. Finally, why you should check your score? Because you might be eligible to immigrate to Canada with your level of English, with your experience, with your skills, with all of your credentials. You might be eligible. And if you are still willing to study in Canada, if you want to get really good knowledge in your field and you're thinking to come to Canada, you will save a lot of money. Believe me, guys, you're going to save a lot of money if you come here as a permanent resident and then you're going to study. It's going to be 3 times cheaper. Canadians were complaining they were paying $3,500 per year. And when I was listening to that, I was crying inside because I came from a country where people are making 10 times less money and I paid 3 times more. I paid about $12,000 a year for my study. C is the action plan. Well, I already started with the action plan, guys. I'm sorry. I already skipped to the C point on my B point. Your action plan. Emphasizing on it again, lawyers are not going to tell you this. This is what they're charging for. This is their money, this is their bread and butter. And when you're coming to a lawyer, they don't speak to you. To open the zip here, you have to give them money. That's how they live, that's their business. Maybe some of them are going to hate me because they are probably trying to sell their services to you, but this is very important. Find out where you're standing. Action plan. Create a couple of plans. Make it on a timeline. Make it like a milestone chart where you have today, tomorrow, 3 months, 4 months ahead, 1 year ahead, 2 years ahead, 3 years ahead, 4 years ahead. Make an action plan. I had a plan A. Oh, sorry. I had a plan A. I had a plan B. And I had a plan C and D and Z and X on what I'm going to do if each plan is not going to work. I had so many plans. So plan. Number 1, find out where you're standing. Number 2, check the provincial programs. Check all the provincial programs. Choose a province. Number 3, once you know where you're standing on federal program and what skills you need, you decide which province, because it's very important. A federal program, if you don't find a job and get Canadian experience as you need, you have plan B. For example, in some provinces, you don't really have to be a skilled worker. You just have to find a job in Canada. And it's not difficult to find any kind of job. What is difficult is to find the job that you are skilled for. That's what's difficult. It takes a lot of time. I know that, and it was difficult for me. I was fortunate enough. So A, federal program as your main plan. B, provincial program. After you have shortlisted the provinces, you have to also look where you want to stay in future. Because once you immigrate, once you're settled, once you have a job, it's really difficult to move from that province. I initially came to Toronto as a student. But you know what? My friend in Toronto, he was searching for a job for 1 year and he went back to his country. But he had a plan on his mind that he can go back. I had no ways to go back. There is no way I would go back. That's it. I decided I need to stay in Canada. So I moved to Alberta. I went through AINP. My employer, he actually sponsored me for AINP. And guess what? Because I studied in a different province, in Ontario, I had to go through a different stream. Those guys who study in Alberta, they get their sponsorship done in 1 year. For me, 24 months. 24 months to get the nominee, and then after you get it, you have to apply to a federal program that takes another 1 year because Alberta is not given 600 points for that in express entry. It's just a different program you have to go through a provincial sponsorship. If I knew about this situation, I would probably go straight to Alberta. But you know what, guys? I'm happy that I went to Ontario. That's where I met my wife. After that we moved to Alberta, and she was also an international student. She's an international student from India. And I'm telling you guys, I had more plans. I thought to myself, what happens if A doesn't work? Federal program, I don't get enough. What if I don't get a job in Canada? Well, I did get a job and I got the experience. It's good for me. English. My English was not good enough. Well, I'll tell you something. After I passed the school and I stayed with my wife and we lived in Canada, I improved my English. So I got the score I needed. I got Canadian education I needed for points. And I got the experience I needed to get just enough through a federal program. And I already had my provincial ANP applied. So it took so long. It took 24 months for provincial program, and after that, after I already got PR, after about half a year after that, I tried calling Provincial Nominee program to cancel it, and they called me and they said, well, finally it's your time in line, so someone told us you already got a PR. Remember, guys, what? Okay, A, B, C. Remember these 3 points. And see you in Canada. Please subscribe, like the video, share with your friends, and ask me questions. It's a very, very touching topic for me. And I really hope I helped you guys. Thank you. And see you in Canada. Once you're here, you will see a lot of this. You'll see a lot of this. First of all, before you come to Canada, guys, remember, you have to fall in love with this country, because this is a beautiful country with amazing people, very diverse. For any religion, for any culture, this is amazing, beautiful, beautiful country. You first have to fall in love with this country before you come here. And once you're totally in love with this country is going to help you for sure to stay here. So don't give up, stay strong. We are students, we are strong, and we will succeed. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Subscribe. Let it go, make my body go, make our bodies high.